Hello! Today is February the 14th. We're in Centennial, Colorado. I'm going to rebuild a mighty Dodge 48RE transmission. Took it out of a 2007 Dodge 2500 diesel that had a rough life of towing heavy loads in the Rocky Mountains at highway speeds, so the transmission started showing slipping in first gear. So it's time to rebuild. It's sitting here on a little homemade stand that I made out of wood, little 4x4 timbers, and it's just screwed in with drywall screws, washers to give it some stability. It's been draining into that pan for a few days, so it should be pretty dry. Removal was pretty straightforward. There's a torque converter, transfer case, shafts, support beam, cross member, whatever you call that thing. By the way, a word to the wise, when you go to take yours out, take the transfer case out first. I took mine out, transfer case and transmission as one unit, and that made it very, very difficult. Also, my mating surface had a little corrosion on it, so I had to beat on it pretty good to get it apart, and it would have made it a lot easier if the transmission was still in the truck. We're following the manual, the 48RE manual, purchased online from, I believe it was ATSG, American Transmission Service Group. I don't know a whole lot about truck transmissions. I know more about motorcycles, so I'm kind of just going step by step through the manual, and we're just going to take this one step at a time. So I have my camera on a tripod looking down on top, and the first step is to take out the water pump. So all I'm going to use is a kind of a generic removal tool, just something that cheap. I think I got it from J.C. Whitney a long time ago, and a couple of bolts. You just thread them in. There's only 2 spots on here where they thread in. The manual actually is very clear as to where to thread them. You just take the bolts out of the pump housing. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bolts in the pump housing. And then you thread these 2 bolts into this exact position. These are the only 2 places that those bolts can go. And then I'm just going to use this as kind of a slide hammer, just something to tap out the pump. So it's not officially the right tool, but here we go. And it's coming. There it goes. It's already loose. Okay. Put that away. And there's the pump. And it's just like that. So that is a rebuildable unit. The manual says to set that thing aside for future rebuild. There is a gasket under here that we've caught, and the manual says there's a washer here somewhere. And before we go any further, I want to find that washer. That's the thrust washer that they're talking about in the manual. That is number 1 selected thrust washer is what this thing is. Okay? So we're just going to set this aside. Oh, let me take the bolts out of it. Okay, there's more stuff. So the next thing we want to do, it says remove the front intermediate band from the case as shown. And it doesn't really show much, it just shows the band, which I guess is this thing. That's it, 3/4 inch socket. Take that loose. That was tight. And then that's just backing all the way out. Okay, so that band is now all the way loose. Now, how do I get this out? Oh, just like that. Great. Well, Hope I can find those pieces again. No, I can't get it. So the pieces that held the band in place have fallen down into the transmission, and I hope that's going to be okay. We'll just have to keep in mind that those pieces are down there, and not to like turn the transmission or anything. Boy, this doesn't want to. Okay, there we go. It says just pull out the forward and direct clutch housings as an assembly. That must be this. Okay, there we go. Forward and direct clutch housings. Put this thing aside for the moment. Oh, so far so good, huh? Okay, so I've already done something wrong. I didn't follow the directions. The directions were clear and they said take the valve body off first. So maybe that's why those pieces kind of clunked in down there and fell out or whatever. Anyway, this is the filter. This is a Torx, of course. A couple of Torx screws. Take this out. And then we're going to pull out the, I believe there are 10 screws, bolts, whatever. 1, 2. There we go. Just pulls out a little bit. And where is that circlip? That was a tough one to get. I can't tell the position of the clip from here. I got it. That's it. Right there. Circlip, and the parking rod comes out. And this thing. There's the valve body. This electrical connector actually sits there. I forget what this thing is called. I think it's like an overdrive solenoid. It runs over to here, to the other side of the valve body, and mine's all broken. I don't know if you can see that. The electrical connector I'm talking about is this thing. It usually sits right there. The little housing is broken. It's one of the reasons I'm going into this thing. Okay, so we're just going to let that sit there and drain. Oh, and here are, okay, let's see if I can get over this. This is the 1-2 accumulator. This thing fits tight up in the bore, but gets loose further down. So when you're under the truck, that thing falls on your face. And here is one of the parts that came off from up above. I bet the other part is buried in here somewhere. I don't know. Anyway. And then take the oil pump out, band out. According to that, this whole thing can now be removed as an assembly. Which it can. Alright, I'm going to move the camera back over to where it was. Okay, now that I've somewhat followed the directions, the complete gear train from the case can now be removed. I just made it loose earlier. Now I'm just going to pull it out. It's pretty slippery. And it's a little bit heavy. Wow. There we go. Complete gear train assembly. Jeez Louise. That's some heavy stuff. We're over here. So far, all of the hard parts look okay. They've not been damaged to too severely. At least, so it seems. So that's done. And then remove the snap ring in the low reverse drum and low roller clutch race assembly. So I'm going to use the one screwdriver to hold it, and the other screwdriver to kind of pry it. There it goes. Snap ring. And there is remove the snap ring and low roller clutch assembly. Remove the number 9 thrust washer. Oh, not yet. So that's the low reverse. This is the low reverse drum retaining snap ring. And then what's below it is the number 9 thrust washer. Let me try to get that out. That's got to be this thing. Wow. Number 9 thrust washer. And then remove the drum with low roller clutch inner race from case. Okay. There's the drum. Not bad, it's real clean. Okay. So far everything's real clean. Okay. Now remove the reverse band and roller clutch assembly. This is the reverse band. Looks pretty good to me. And the reverse clutch assembly. I don't know how this comes out of here. Does it just pull out? Oh. Yeah, that thing. This looks like one of those things that could easily explode. So I'm going to set this aside very gently. Now that 171, the low roller clutch cam is pressed in. So this thing we're not going to remove. This clutch cam we're not going to remove. Let me reposition the camera. See if you're seeing any of this. Well, actually you weren't seeing too much, were you? There we go, you can see a little bit of it. So this is the low roller clutch assembly. It was just sitting down in here like that. I just pulled it out with my hands. This is the low roller clutch cam, and that thing is pressed in. And I'm not going to take that out because I don't have a press. So now is the point where we're actually going to flip the whole thing over and start taking it apart from the other end. Because with that thing pressed in, that's kind of a dividing part between the two ends of the transmission. Beyond that is the overdrive housing, and we can just take that off as a unit. So I'm just going to wipe this off a little bit. Those are all the oil passages where everything goes, all the fluid goes. And I'm going to take a break here and turn the thing upside down. Okay.